Dear loyal audience, youth, skills trainers and students, educators and industry practitioners, the global awareness on the importance of skills and TVET training has been an emphasis in many developed countries. This is, for example, in the United Kingdom, there is a skills training framework that enables the students to obtain the right competencies and fulfill the market demand. Similarly to other European countries, including Germany, Austria, Netherlands, and France, that have their consolidated framework for TVET training. Next, we would like to welcome Mr. Jonathan Ledger. He is a TVET specialist of the Department for Industrial Trade, United Kingdom. He will be delivering our first webinar sharing session with the title of UK TVET for Global Skills Development. Please, over to you, Jonathan.
Hi everybody, my name's Jonathan Ledger. I'm from the UK Government's Department for International Trade. I am the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Specialist. I work in the education team and it's my real privilege to be here with you today to celebrate World Youth Skills Day 2021. I have 30 years plus experience in technical and vocational education, from apprenticeships to bespoke courses to national vocational qualifications and sectoral approaches to skills. And I'm using that to really support the government's ambition to enable systemic reform of education systems. Our aim and ambition is to equip young people and the workforce at large with the right kind of skills in the right kind of way to enable economic development and sustainability through an appropriately skilled workforce, and to take a sectoral approach to skills. We believe in using world-class best practice, and we want to create mutually beneficial opportunities that enable that systemic long-term change to take place. We are definitely with you on your journey of skills and education, particularly in the vocational space. Of course, the last 16 months haven't really been very normal. We've all had to deal with new ways of learning, new ways of going to work, new ways of dealing with our family lives. And of course, all of this does lead to an impact, a negative impact really, on many businesses, but also on the workforce, particularly new entrants into the job market. And there, of course, I am talking about young people, young apprentices, those leaving school as well as those leaving university that might be a few years older. It's a real problem time for most of those, but it doesn't have to be. We can equip those people with the right skills. We can help employers. There has been, of course, quite significant impact on industrial sectors, and here is a picture from the UK, and you can see that the retail and manufacturing sectors have been hit really hard. But other sectors, not necessarily so much. But, I think everyone has been affected in some way or another, even if it's only to watch family members lose their jobs or not be able to go to work and earn what they need to earn to be able to live. So I think, we are all experiencing that sectoral impact, and skills is a way to make sure that we come back from that with a big bounce. And as Boris Johnson would say, to build back better. The greatest impact, though, when you look at all of the age groups, has actually been unprecedented levels of young people have found it really difficult to come out of their education and to be able to go to work. If they were in work, then, in many cases, they were one of the first to be laid off or parked to one side or furloughed, whatever terminology is used. But it is generally the hardest hit has been in the younger categories. Of course, there has been impact right across the spectrum of age ranges, and that in itself has been problematic because, of course, we don't then have the young people to be able to train, but also the opportunities for young people to train into, or the more senior people to provide that training. There hasn't been many groups that have been unaffected. So literally only 25% of the total workforce in the UK has had zero impact because of COVID in a financial sense or a work sense. Everybody else has had to take reduced salaries or been furloughed or been laid off. There's lots of different scenarios that are affecting workers. And again, our job is to really, help those individuals get back to work, change the jobs that they were doing into new industries if those industry and those jobs are not there anymore, and to really drive the economy through that appropriately and well-skilled workforce. And we're really talking about high quality, high tech skills. 5% of young people in primary education today will do jobs in 20 years that haven't yet been invented. And I refer here to the glorious mobile phone as my trusty tool. When I was at school in 1985 and I left, I can tell you now, one of these was the size of a car battery, and you could just make phone calls. You couldn't even send a text in those days. Now, if you want to, you can lay in bed all day and you can run your life from your mobile phone. And there's not only the technology and the design process, but there's also the energy process that goes into it, the apps, the technology behind the apps, the shops behind the apps. All of these industries have sprung up to support mobile phone technology. And this often happens in this way. Of course, technology continues to come along at a big pace, and I think year on year we see that pace getting quicker and quicker and quicker. In the 18th century, we might have seen 1 or 2 changes every 20 or 30 years. Nowadays, we see lots of changes every single day. Many of them actually happen, and we don't even know they're happening. So it could be thousands happening. And that creates a skills gap. And it creates a skills gap for young people leaving school and entering the workforce, because even in that short period of time, there can be technology shifts, but also for the existing workforce, they will need to continually upskill and progress in their careers and to be able to develop those skills for the remainder of their life. So what you often see is this skills gap, but then there's a business commercial lag because businesses don't take on those skills as quickly as they should. And of course, you get a policy lag, which government is trying to catch up on. One of the areas with skills that we really are trying to make sure that we support, of course, are the UN Sustainable Development Goals, particularly number 4. But actually, technical and vocational education and training can support other SDGs and the achievement of those SDGs. So, for example, around reducing poverty, gender equality, and there could be about decent work and economic growth. So we're not just talking skills as an isolated impact. We are talking about skills enabling many other SDG achievements. And so that shows the kind of depth and breadth of vocational education and training. What we're trying to achieve is resilience through more skilled people and a higher quality workforce. We want to increase the productivity and competitiveness of those in the workforce in sectors which are old hand sectors, been around for years, and also those new emerging sectors. We want to make sure that we drive up the number of people that can contribute to the working population, and that includes all genders, all backgrounds. We want to be able to reach the hard to reach groups, and that's where the inclusion comes in. So this is about making sure that we not only look after the metropolitan areas, but we want to make sure we reach out to those groups in social hard to reach groups, those in geographic locations that otherwise might ordinarily be left out. The type of skills that we need are changing, and they change on a regular basis, but increasingly the technical and vocational element, whilst important, is actually one of a number of skill areas that are required to be supplied by individual workers. So whether it's foundation skills or core or transferable skills, entrepreneurial skills or digital skills, we all need this kind of basket approach to our skills platform and our tool bag of life. That our jobs, your and mine, is to make sure that we equip young people with that range of capacity and capability to be able to use skills like a tool bag. In the UK, we have a work and education combined approach. Some call this a dual model. Ours is definitely a seamless dual model. And what we do is we bring work and education together as part of that process through apprenticeships and traineeships and through technical and vocational education and training. And that is really important for us because everything in the UK system is driven by employers and industry being engaged in vocational education, but also designing it and in some cases delivering it. And they work closely with colleges to train teachers and train assessors, but also to develop curriculum and to develop the standards that are required. So for us, employers are integral to that whole process. To help the UK build the right kind of workforce, young people have a number of choices depending on how old they are, whether that's continuing with their learning or actually stepping out into the world of work, or a combination of both through apprenticeships and degrees. At the age of 16, you can leave school effectively if you want to, and you can go on to do an apprenticeship or have employment with training. But generally, most people do stay in academic education to complete their A level so that they can consider going on to university. But increasingly, we are seeing larger numbers of people take up apprenticeships. There is no doubt about it, ladies and gentlemen, that dealing with skills from an employer perspective is a really complex matter. Training providers are really well known for making skills look like some kind of secret club, when in fact what we should be doing is really working hard with our employers to understand their needs and make it easy. For young people in the UK, they effectively have two routes: an academic route where they go on to get academic level qualifications, go on to college and then go on to university, or of course they can go up the technical pathway, which will lead them on through traineeships, apprenticeships and to other vocational education and training, whether it's bite-size or full qualifications. So there is a pathway and there is a crossover point that allows them to take the credits that they've earned through their technical level qualifications and their vocational qualifications and have them accepted as a pathway into university, so that articulation is there, and of course back the other way, so from academic into vocational. And that is really important in making sure that young people have a pathway to success, because that's how we create resilient young people and sustainable long-term career pathways. They've got to be able to kind of keep moving between the two as their circumstances change in their life. A lot of focus in the UK, of course, is around apprenticeships. We are big on apprenticeships, that dual model, which we invented in the 12th century, of course, way back. It involves workplace skills, a range of qualifications that are designed by employers and assessed by employers. It's about giving them the real first class, world class, best skills ever to be able to do that job. It's It's about defining a career pathway, not just in the short term, but in the long term, to become real professionals. Apprenticeships are not second rate. They are not for people that are stupid or, second class. They are real professional tools to get people on the working pathway and to keep them there. And of course, the bonus is that you get paid for doing it. Apprenticeships in the UK and around the world are really changing a lot. In the UK now, you can do a graduate apprenticeship or a degree apprenticeship and get a certificate from a university, and you can make sure that you can progress and earn so that you don't have to rack up any debts. They are funded by UK government and by employers. It's a real alternative to traditional university routes, and the graduate unemployment rate, if you take a look at it, is about 40%, whereas in vocational education and training, unemployment is less than 5%. So but it is there, on that basis. And of course, you have a really long-term career path tool that enables you to get that training on the job, and you can connect it to other pieces of learning that you might do, and you gain workplace experience that you can't be taught from a book, teamwork and all these other types of skills in real time, using your hands and your brain and your behaviors all connected in a real decent circle of exciting, and that's why we do apprenticeships. And we are seeing increased numbers in apprentice students taking up these places, and more interest from employers in terms of taking on high quality education, and some are actually switching from graduate take on to apprenticeship take on, which is really encouraging more students to then go into that pathway. Our system allows, don't forget, all the way through our time between academic and vocational and back again. It also means that if you change from one job to another or one sector to another, if you need to, you can go back to the bottom and you can start again. So it's not always about going up and getting better and better. Sometimes you need to switch because your life changes. So our system is flexible, and if you back to academic and vice versa as you travel through your life. So it's like a tool that you can pick up that travels with you and flexes with you according to the circumstance that you find yourself in, which I think personally is really, really useful, because you don't know how your life is going to work out, and so resilient young people need flexible, robust education systems that move with them, that move with the times, that change with the times, and allow them to pick up the skills that they need. Of course, part of this now is all about credentialing, so bite-sized learning that adds up through smaller points, and those points become prizes or qualifications or whatever later on in life. But increasingly we are seeing micro credentialing, and that will help with online learning and small bites of learning that people are now taking to in a big way. The UK methodology is definitely demand driven. There's no other way to say it. In the vocational space, it's all about where are the jobs, where are industries going, what is it that they need in terms of skill sets to be able to drive those businesses forward, and how can we enable that to happen. And the simplest way is to against the demand or the supply of the skills system, and we make sure that young people are looking at the careers that are there or coming up, and not looking behind at careers that have already gone by and maybe there aren't so many in the future. Of course, there are some sectors where we still need large numbers or base numbers of new workers, but we need to make sure that we keep looking forwards at those new career opportunities that are coming. It remains high impact. We do not carry on delivering apprenticeships and qualifications that do not do what they say they're going to do. So this drive by employer type approach is really important. And it's not just the government that works with employers, but the colleges and the independent training providers. There's a whole host of organisations that work with employers to make sure that the skills requirements are really understood, and that those skills requirements translate intelligently into a training provision system that delivers that world-class skill capability to young people, because without that we do not end up with that workforce that we need to be able to make sure that they have, or that we need to drive up those businesses and make them, you know, increase their performance, drive their competitiveness, especially of course in a global marketplace. And so the way that we try to do that is to, you know, get businesses to really integrate skills into their normal methodology, their normal working process. For example, if you're developing as an industry a skill standard, let's just say for an engineer, and the way it's designed is it describes an engineer in terms of the required, then why not use that skill standard as your recruitment template? You know, that could be part of your interview process, it could be part of your questioning technique when you're looking at applications for job vacancies. That same standard can be used for induction processes, because you're taking people on a learning pathway. So, you know, it's not just a tool to shape qualifications and then you put it on the shelf. It's something that you integrate into a business, and it becomes part of business as normal, business as usual, and becomes part of that ongoing training and skills and competency assessment process. That in turn drives a quality assured training system whereby you go about building strong teams through the identification and the diagnosing of skills demands and matching that. Employers have a massive part to play in the skills system. I've already set out a number of those, but we'll just recap here. And that includes, you know, sharing labour and workforce information so that we can create the right kind of skills system and deliver right kind of skills in the right way. It's also about, don't forget, making sure that students understand the expectations of jobs and job roles, and that we are lining up enough of those for each of the job roles that are existing in society. Employers sit down with us, with their technical experts and their operational experts, and actually put pen to paper and help us design the standards. The standards are not designed by UK government. The process is led by the government, but the standards themselves are developed by industry so that they buy into them. And if they don't develop them, they will think somebody's trying to impose it on them and they will not use them. We also have, of course, employers helping shape curriculum. Each of the colleges and training providers in the UK develop their own curriculum to match the standard, because the standard is the benchmark to beat. And so employers in different localities will develop that curriculum. But the important thing is the end assessments that happen have to be done in a systematic way, so that somebody in the north or the east or the south or the west, their competencies are assessed in the same way. Employers also help colleges with the training of trainers and the training of teachers and the training of assessors, because, you know, you could be a teacher and you're in there for 20 years and new technologies come along, and unless you're in the workplace, you'll never really know about what those technologies are. So it's really important that you get back to employment, back to work, go and work with employers, go and look at the factories and see what's going on. And our employers enable that to happen, and that's really quite exciting. And so they're really with us on that kind of continuous pathway all the way through. And the bit that we love the most is when they give us feedback and they help us drive return on investment, and understand impact and value on their businesses and on their workforce. So the whole art of employer engagement in the skills system, not only is it about giving young people the chances that we want them to have in life to start their careers and to stay in their careers, but, you know, by developing and involving employers in the ways that I've described, we are able to then look at, you know, cross-sector consistent use of industry-wide competency standards, and those standards support the transferability of skills from one sector to another, or one subsector or one job type to another. They optimise the supply and demand, so that we understand where to recruit graduates and where to recruit apprentices and normal workers from, and also where to redeploy. So in times like COVID, where we've had to redeploy a lot of workers, it's really important that we understand that skills picture and that job market picture. And of course, it's about increasing competency, that goes without saying, but it's also about making sure that we understand and appreciate the value of not only apprentices and students in the technical and vocational space, but understanding that employers need to know what impact that is having on their productivity and competitiveness. Because skills is an investment, skills is not a cost. And so we need to create that, and we need to talk that language to employers, because They buy investments, they don't like buying costs. So we need to be thinking about how do we translate skills into that investment type language that employers really understand. There are huge benefits that employers can get from apprenticeship programs. For example, they help resolve skill shortages, so you can bring workers in, young people in to fill those slots, and you can use them in a really productive way. In the UK, incidentally, workers, particularly apprenticeships, once the student gets past 1 year, what we found is that for every UK pound we spend, they return £25 back to the UK economy. £25, that's a 25 to 1 investment. It's fantastic. The other thing is, of course, it's about increasing staff retention and to stop people from leaving and to reduce absence. So that's a big impact cost on the business, and that's a huge investment reason. And of course, you've got things like, improving customer relationships and really just employers getting a good vibe from taking on young people and being good to their workforce. So it's good for their corporate image. And of course, CSR, corporate social responsibility, and companies love that, but the public love it even more when you're giving young people a chance to get on in life. So really fantastic to be able to see that in action through apprenticeship programs. Let me tell you a little bit about our technical level qualifications. So they're started in 2020. And they are 2-year routes, so 2 years a student will stay on that program. They're level 3 plus courses, and the idea is that a young person will enter that program. As part of that program, they will learn lots of workplace skills and knowledge, and they will do at least 45 days in a workplace scenario to practice some of those skills. And if a student achieves a distinction in their T level, then they actually get 3 A levels. It's equivalent to 3 A levels under the standard academic route, and they can use the credit from those T levels to enter university at that point if that's what they want to do, or they can carry on and of course go into apprenticeships and vocational education and training, or drop all education and just carry on working, which we hope they don't do, because we want everyone to have lifelong learning. But it offers that, reinforces that technical approach as well as that academic approach to our education system. In the mix of that, it's important to remember that these T levels are designed by employers. So we sit in a room with employers and we ask them what they want in the jobs as part of that specification. When you go to leave school, it can be quite bewildering to see the range of jobs and industries, and where do you make your choices and what do you want to do. So what we've tried to do is, by using T levels, we create these technical pathways. And so somebody will choose, for example, the hospitality pathway, or they will choose hair and beauty, or the digital pathway. So it's a bit like a tree, with a tree trunk, and then later, 2 years down the line, you then have a bit more maturity and you can think about the different jobs, and then you can branch out and pick one of those jobs, because of course every industry has lots of different jobs that branch away from one central stream. The UK is well known for quality assurance in technical and vocational education and training, and that is sure to be the case in our regulatory system for looking at teaching and quality of learning and education. And in TVET it's no different. Our regulators, they do robustly inspect colleges on a regular basis, and our training providers too. And if you do not comply, if you are not teaching in the way that is expected to the standard, a national standard, then I'm afraid the regulator has the power to remove your funding, close you down, or penalise you in other ways. So our regulators are a bit like sharks. They have teeth and they bite, and you need to make sure that quality assurance is seen as an ongoing, continual cycle. It is not a one-off ticker box, and we don't need to think about it anymore. These inspections are on a regular basis. So at the moment, most people get inspected every 3 years, and there's interim inspections and then light touch inspections as part of that process. This is all part of a national framework. There are different regulators depending on where you are in the UK, but of course that helps to make sure that learning experience for students is the very best that it can be. The type of learning, and we've learnt this over the past 16 months, of course, but we have a lot of flexibility in our system. So whether it's mostly in the classroom or mostly in the workplace, we have a range of options that fit into that gap. Further education colleges, a lot of them are classroom based type activity, and then you go all the way through to independent providers who actually go to the workplace to teach people in the workplace, so using the employer premises. And the training providers that we've got, they don't just teach, they look after the welfare of the students. So this kind of a very holistic approach. They develop the curriculum, they will cover entrepreneurial skills, because we need entrepreneurs in businesses to help drive those businesses forward. It's not just entrepreneurs in the kind of single let's start a business sense. This is actually being entrepreneurial when you're a part of another business. Key skills and things like that, and functional skills come into that remit. So what they're trying to do is look at that whole person type approach, and that really is how education providers can really drive forward this kind of robust, resilient type approach that we need young people to have. And I always think of skills as a bag of tools that you carry in your life, and depending on the circumstance at the time, you take the tool out that you need to be able to do that, and that means apply the skills that you've got. None of us, I don't think, ever start our lives at 16 or 17 or 18 years old and think we're going to be one thing all of our life and expect that really to happen. Most of us hop around all our life from different jobs, and then eventually we get to hopefully enjoy retirement, and when we look backwards, we will see that we've taken skills from each of the jobs that we've had, and we've gone to another job and we've used some of those skills and built new skills, and then we hop to another job, and then we again take the skills from one job to another. It might be a previous career, or it might be the last career, you just don't know. The art of this is this kind of springboard approach to take those skills from place to place. Within our system, of course, you all know that we have a regulatory system for managing our qualifications and apprenticeships. The qualifications, vocational qualifications, are currently managed through awarding organisations and through Ofqual, or in the case of Scotland, it's SQA, and Northern Ireland and Wales also have regulators as well. There are 160 plus organisations in England that are regulated and can issue certificates on behalf of government. They develop qualifications, they monitor progress. So, in effect, you get a teaching and learning inspection from Ofsted, but you'll also get a qualification delivery inspection from the awarding organisation. And the awarding organisations are only inspecting the qualifications delivery. Ofsted are inspecting the whole business, the whole learning establishment. Let me give you a quick helicopter view. So if you were to zoom back out and get right up into the clouds and look at the UK system, this is what it looks like. Employers are the ones that drive the strategy and the direction of their sectors, and that's really key to the process. And then what you have is government using that information to create policy and support, and that support comes down through Department for Education. Could be apprenticeships, could be funding, could be a number of incentives, it doesn't matter, but that's where the support channel comes. Education and training and assessment providers, and then holding the whole system together is the regulation of the qualifications and apprenticeships, and the regulation, of course, of the quality of teaching and learning. In the heart of the UK system is the learner, so we must always make sure we're doing the very best for them. Doesn't matter what happens, they need to be protected in terms of their education and training. So around that, we have a whole host of organisations that deliver that, not only the education providers, but of course, digital skills providers, equipment suppliers, all sorts of different organisations. So we must make sure that group of people is there. And then we have these kind of rigid parts to the system, which is the regulation, which keeps everything in check regardless of what happens in that middle section. So think of it like a shoebox. You can go into a shop, you can buy a pair of shoes, and they always come out with the same size shoebox, but the shoes inside are quite individual. Our regulatory system that looks after the skills system in the UK is like a shoebox. It's kind of rigid, has some flexibility to it when it needs to, but it protects the shoes and keeps the system sane and working as it should do in a high quality way. The shoes inside, owned by the employers, owned by the college, can be any colour, any style, any shape you like. So that allows all this flexibility inside the TVET system, but actually all of the system looks the same from the outside. So whether you're doing an apprenticeship in engineering or shipbuilding or IT or whatever, the process for setting them up is the same, quality assurance is the same, everything looks the same except the content and the delivery. That's the bespoke part. And this ecosystem that you see on screen now, this dark blue band, can change as much as it likes. You know, colleges can merge, go bust, it doesn't matter. Employers can go bust. The cocoon that's created around the outside keeps that system under tension and keeps that system operating in a way that is not really affected by what goes on inside the system, even though it offers all that kind of flexible approach and that you know, openness and the transparency. It really does deliver with an impact. So we have, you know, in England, for example, one regulatory organisation for the qualifications, one for the learning inspectorate, 8 qualification levels, 12 if you're in Scotland, 160 plus awarding organisations who issue the certificates on behalf of UK government, 305 further education colleges, over 6,500 training providers, and between them all they deliver over 6 million annual certifications in the UK. Employers donate 1.4 billion learning hours, and employers as well give, through the levy system that we have, £3 billion per year in investment in apprenticeship programs. And here's the thing, on top of all that, we deliver 4.9 million qualifications, TVET qualifications, outside of the UK. And to do that, we use a very diverse landscape. So whether it's, you know, augmented reality, or whether it's virtual reality, whether it's MOOCs, whether it's, you know, other online learning platforms, whether we're talking about career paths, whether we're talking about you know, language to accompany vocational training, whether we're talking about credentialing, actually, you know, and increasingly we're seeing credentialing become a priority. So, you know, bite-sized pieces of learning that have bite-sized credits that can be accumulated, and accumulated points make prizes, and so hopefully, you know, will lead to qualifications. There's a whole range of stuff that we need to make sure stays alive and well and is robustly managed, and the quality is excellent within the skills system. And that's not always easy to do, but that's the kind of, you know, system that creates that resilient learner, that skilled learner that you're looking for in the future workforce. So it leads me to the question, so what? And this is one I ask myself all the time, and when you're working in education, I think it's really important. So what difference are you making? So what, you know, about quality? So what if we don't get the curriculum right? You've got to really think about that, because this is where it does impact on the students, and it certainly impacts on employers and the industry. And I think, you know, what we don't really see is enough training providers measuring the impact and the value and the benefit that they create. And I mean, starting right at the beginning, when you have a relationship with an employer or student, and really understanding where they are in their lives or where they are in their business, and measuring the distance that you travel with the learning and development that you implement. So to do that, we have to focus on client priorities. So you see, I changed the word there from employers to clients and students to clients, because we have to understand where students want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We have to make sure that we understand where employers want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And we have to try and make sure that we get as much alignment and matching as we can, because we want to deliver the right skills for the right people, for the right kind of jobs that are coming up in a really positive, shiny, happy future. We can't cover everything all the time, we know that. So we have to work on those things that we can really achieve with an employer. And any training provider that says they can do everything is a liar, because that's just not possible. And rather than, you know, to talk about the products and services, we need to think about what it is that we will achieve and how that translates into value and impact. So students want to be able to get on in their lives, to have high quality skills, to know that they can go for jobs and be successful in those jobs, and successful long-term sustainable careers. Sometimes it might be with 2 or 3 employers, doesn't matter, because, you know, we're in a gig economy. And so what happens, you know, nowadays people have multiple employers. That's okay. If that's what people want to do, if that's what people have to do, we need to make sure they're equipped to be able to do that. But for businesses, they will only deal with skills if you start treating skills as a business commodity and start translating it into a value that they understand, a value that has an impact on their business, a value that they can recognize and creates a positive impact. If you sell skills to them, and it creates a burden, and they see apprenticeships as, oh, that means I've got to train somebody, and all the time I'm training them, I'm not earning money, then you're going to get into a problem. But if you talk about skills in a way that apprentices can come into your business and add value and support what you're doing, and really kind of grow with you, and they are malleable, and all of these kind of great things that you need in a workforce, then you've got success. You've got a real good recipe for success, and you must use those successes to attract other successes. So you need to promote students that do excellently well in vocational and education and training, and you need to find those businessmen that grew up themselves in the vocational world, that learned from their dad or from their friend or their uncle or whatever about a business, and use those to add that value. Important. Remember, this is a real-time benefit. Industry-wide competency standards, support the transfer and the migration of labour. They support the sustainability of skills, and good skills means we save money in a business as well as make money. We optimise the supply and demand of education, so we stop wasting money in the education system because we're delivering the right skills first time round and not having to fix a problem later. So that's really, really important. And we're providing careers information and advice and guidance, and that's really important. Now let me share with you a quick case study about Vietnam. And we worked with a Vietnamese construction related company that had its own college. It was quite unusual, and they were weirdly not delivering the right kind of skills for their own businesses. So imagine that you've got a college in your own business, and those people that are being trained have to be lots of numbers. We looked at lots of different parts of the business. We helped develop curriculum. We trained a load of teachers. We worked with a number of factories. It's all very exciting, but they're just numbers. What does that actually mean? What difference does it make to this client? More detail, we start to help by creating skilled people. We created more output. They were able to produce more goods with the same number of people because they were good quality skilled people. We reduced business risks. We're eliminating waste. We increased the quality of the products that were going out the door, and we improved the maintenance on the plant and the vehicles because people suddenly understood how to maintain, and because from one industry sector to another, they felt that they were being looked after, the staff were developed, the skills gaps were being plugged, and that was really important. And they also found some other skills areas that they didn't even know existed, and they were able to patch those and fix those as well. On a national scale, of course, a skilled workforce means you're creating much better economic resilience, and that is important for all countries, wherever you are on the planet. Better alignment between the activeness, and it stops wastage in between the two systems, and that's really important. You end up with a much more flexible and diverse workforce of people that can move around when you need them to, and it enables them to get on a plane and go work somewhere else if that's what they want to do, or that's what the system enables them to do, or cross borders. But it's worth bearing in mind, of course, that most migration happens between rural places and metropolitan centres, so it's not always over borders. A list of all of the types of impact that are created for industry, for education institutions, and for the students. And I'm going to come back because I've already talked about employers a lot and students a lot. There's a lot of benefit to be had for education establishments if they can deliver high quality, robust skills that employers want, because they will get more students, more people will want to come and learn with them, they will become more respected by the employers, and they will probably get investment from employers that will improve teaching and learning, might improve the college. Employers can supply equipment and all sorts, so that relationship builds into an ever more popular and more robust relationship. So good benefits for education industry, that everything we do is about the highest quality assurance possible, having exacting standards, and we never let up. You might have gathered I get a bit excited about TVET and apprenticeships. I really believe that TVET offers a first choice, fantastic choice, every time choice to students across the planet. If you think about it, most jobs do not need a degree to do those jobs. So why do most students go after a degree? Because it's not getting them employment. So let's focus more on technical and vocational education and training by improving the quality of the centres that we have and really driving youth employment through improved skills opportunities. If you want to access help and support in the UK, we have a UK Skills Partnership, and within that UK Skills Partnership, we have, you know, all of the colleges, we have all of the sector skills councils, universities, awarding bodies and such like. So please do contact me and I can get you connected, particularly where you're looking at multifaceted programs that need, you know, lots of players to help you with support. We would be more than happy to help in that process and to partner with you to create those mutually beneficial opportunities that you're looking for, and of course that we are looking for in terms of, you know, supporting education providers around the world. So the partnership. Let me just finally say that whatever we do with TVET for young people, we've got to make sure it's sector focused, that it's strategic, so it's long term, that it's demand driven, and it points at the jobs that exist at the time or are coming up, that it's flexible and responsive to be able to cope with things that happen in life and life changes, and sometimes they're global changes that affect us as a country, and that they are contextualized. You know, I started by saying this is not about the UK giving you a TVET system. This is about using UK global expertise in technical and vocational education and training to help Malaysia build an education system and a TVET system that's fit for Malaysian workers and students, and also for the businesses in Malaysia. So we have lots of opportunities in lots of ways to be able to work together to harness the power of TVET across the board. And I really hope that you do get in touch with me so that we can build those bridges and build your success and your progress in technical and vocational education and training. Ladies and gentlemen, I could ramble on all day about the virtues of technical and vocational education and training and why I think it's fabulous for young people. You've only got to look at things like World Skills. I'm an avid supporter of World Skills, both in ASEAN and in the UK. And, you know, at the end of this presentation, I've added a short clip about World Skills. Give it a watch and see why it's so exciting to help young people get into careers, get the skills they need, and to watch them fly and enjoy really successful careers. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been fantastic today. I wish you really well with your conference. Sorry I couldn't be with you. If you have any questions, just use that email address and send me an email and I will respond. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
World Skills UK Live has been the biggest and the best showcase for skills that we've put on in many, many years. More competitors, more young people, more careers content. It's been fantastic.
I walked in today having no idea what I wanted to do, and after going around talking to quite a few people, I've come out and I've got myself lots of options and what I need to get there, and lots of different goals that I didn't have walking in.
Network Rail have been at World Skills this week, trying to motivate and inspire up to 80,000 children to choose their STEM subjects and consider a career in engineering. And what better place to do it than in the UK with all the opportunities we have available.
World Skills UK gives Middlesex University a great opportunity to expose a broad range of technologies to young people, giving them a chance to touch, explore and experience a range of technologies which they can participate in and create and hopefully be the technologists of the future.
We very much value the opportunity this competition offers our students, because for us it empowers them, it gives them confidence, It gives them a direct link with the industries that they are going to be going on to. So providing kind of real world experience for the real jobs that they're about to go into. So it's a very important aspect of our curriculum training.
Vocational skills and training is highly critical to our business. It is the primary source of recruitment into the organisation, and therefore we're really keen to ensure that we are promoting our brand and getting face to face with young people to talk to them about opportunities within our early careers programmes at Airbus.
We dance.